Hey, Brad, it's good to see you this week. How are you
Hey,
doing?
hey, good, Pat. How are you?
Good, good. I'm just glad we're here for another Stringing Tips weekly StreamYard live stream. StreamYard, yeah, but yeah, live stream. And it's been a couple weeks. I don't know if you've been doing much with tennis. If you've bought anything this week, I don't know. Have you gotten any new tennis strings
I've
or
been
anything?
teaching a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. I went to Syracuse University about a week ago and watched a girl that I work with. She plays for Notre Dame, and they played Syracuse, so I went and watched that. It was a really great match. Notre Dame won 4-3. I think Notre Dame's around 40 in the country, and then Notre Dame beat number 8 Miami in the country yesterday.
Oh,
So Notre Dame has been doing very well. So that was fun. I ordered a few things. I got a reel of ALU Power 125. I have a new client who's using that quite a bit. He's thinking of going up to the 130 because he's been breaking the 125s pretty quickly.
yeah.
And that's pretty much what I ordered. I'm about even as far as how many rackets I've strung this year at this time compared to last year at this time. But I think this month I'll jump ahead because I started stronger this month than I did last month. I'm about eight rackets over for this month compared to where I
Oh,
was
okay.
last.
That's good. Yeah, and I would
Yeah.
think now that with COVID restrictions being lifted somewhat, that there's going to be more people out there playing tennis, and maybe I think just in general, you're probably going to see more
Yeah. With
activity
the
that way.
num yeah, with the numbers, the weather getting nicer, people go outside. The numbers here where I live are quite much higher than they were 3 weeks ago. We were getting like anywhere from like 10 to 20 or 30 new cases of COVID a day. Now we're up to 300 to 500 new cases a day.
Oh, okay. So
So
it's
that
gone
new
back up
variant
again.
is yeah, it's been going back up again, the new variant, but hopefully it's just not as severe. But
Oh, yeah,
at least
for
we're getting
sure.
nicer weather.
Yeah, that probably helps because I know the indoors makes it harder. So this week I just got my ERSA Pro Stringer magazine for the month. I get that emailed actually, and that's from the membership that I subscribe to for a year, and I think the same one that you have.
Yeah,
After we attended the online symposium, and it looks like next year's symposium is actually going to be live in Greece. It looks
yeah,
like so. I don't think I'm going to be going over there for that. I'll be kind of bummed that because they're not going to have it online. I'm assuming they're not going to have online sessions because they're going to have it live. So who knows if there's going to be any opportunity to watch any sessions that they maybe
right.
record or anything like that. But yeah, so that's kind of a change there. It looks like yeah. So there was some good stuff actually in this month's Pro Stringer. I was looking. It looks like Dunlop Sports has made a big tennis partnership with Tennis Europe, and so that means a lot of the tournaments and a lot of the juniors and I think just the regular adult tournaments are going to be sponsored by Dunlop. So you might see more Dunlop stringing
Oh,
machines at more events that are sponsored by Tennis Europe. So looks like Dunlop's making some more roads in there. So
yeah, they're
because I
trying to
know because
reinvent themselves.
I think we talked about the Dunlop stringing machine, the one that's out now, the professional grade one that looks pretty good. ISO Speed, Blackfire. I don't know. I haven't really looked into that, but that's a new polymer or a new polyester string by IsoSpeed. It's like a hex string. It has some
Did we
type of
get a
liquid.
sample of that?
You know what? I don't think I got that one.
Okay.
Did Did
It
you get that
sounded
one?
familiar. I can't
Yeah,
remember if that was in the.
yeah. The Blackfire. No, I don't. I think that one's just coming out. I'm not sure if it's actually out yet. It probably is out already, but I haven't got my hands on that. And some more players are signing with Yonex. Looks like Yonex uh, has a pretty good representation at most of the tournaments now. I mean, there's a lot of top players playing with Yonex, and so and as you know, they have their own stringing team and they have their own stringer that goes to some of the tournaments and
Yeah.
strings just for the Yonex players. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, there was a great article in there about um, the composite materials that are used in tennis rackets and
Mm.
talking about whether it's a carbon, uh, whether it's a form of carbon or Aramix or there's different types of carbon as well, and unidirectional, chopped up. They just have all these different composites that they talk about, and what makes them, what makes the racket stronger, what makes them uh, more light, stiffness, all those kind of things. And so it's like a 2-page article. And I think that's why, really, if you're trying to get better at stringing, if you're really trying to get serious in the industry, reading something like the US RSA magazine or the ERSA Pro Stringer is good, because it just kind of keeps you in that loop, keeps you learning new stuff.
Yeah.
And so I kind of was reading that just before I got on, actually. So I didn't get really a chance to finish that. And there's actually an article this month in there regarding how do I become a tournament stringer.
Okay.
And it's just a 1-page outlining some of the things that I think we've talked about before. To be a pro stringer, basically, you have to have a couple years of consistent stringing where you can do it right.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you want to start getting yourself, getting your feet wet somewhere, and getting to a tournament. And one way that they recommend, and I think we talked about that as well, is to go to where there's a tournament and volunteer just to cut out strings. Because nowadays all of the pro tour, there's a lot of stringing teams. Most of the companies have stringing teams somewhere around the world stringing, whether it's Yonex, Head, Luxilon, Wilson, Dunlop, Solinco, whatever, Technofiber, they're at tournaments. So if you can somehow get in and just be part of the team and work and bagging rackets or labeling rackets, cutting out string, and then that way you can kind of see if you fit that climate.
Start at
And so,
junior tournaments.
yeah, exactly. And actually, Mark from the ERSA was saying that he's stringing at a couple tournaments in Europe in May and June, and he even said, for ERSA members, hey, if anybody is interested in stringing, hit me up, and you can join me at one of those tournaments. So he's actually looking for people at those tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, I think in Europe, and actually in other parts of the world, the ERSA is based in Europe, but they actually they have satellite offices all Australia and Dubai, and they do a lot of the tournaments. You don't really see that so much in the US, Canada, Central, South America. That I've heard of, but the ERSA is represented at a lot of big tournaments in other parts of the world. And if you're not ERSA certified, or you won't get a shot at any of those tournaments,
right?
Because
and actually,
it seems like they have contracts.
Right, and actually, the ERSA has a profession, like a route to get to a professional racket certification, so that for maybe in Europe means something as far as hey, I want to be a tournament stringer. So you go through this program, and then they can you can get connected that way and actually be a stringer. So that makes great roads there. And
now,
lastly,
Mark,
it looks like we got a couple folks joining us. Lastly, though, in this month's issue, cutting out plastic. So it looks like a lot of the European tournaments, or some of them, are cutting out bagging the brackets with plastic, because I know that's been a big thing. A lot of players do like that. It looks professional. You can have your logo on the bag. It keeps them organized for the players and stuff. But I think some tournaments are getting away from using plastic bags, because just in general, we're trying to get away from plastic and environmentally, conscious and stuff. So that seems to be the way that tournaments are going as well. All right. So who do we have joining us here? We have Shardlow Tennis, and then PCS. Hi, Wes.
Wes.
Yeah, it's Wes. And so let's see. What are your thoughts on the Parnell on Parnell's new organization? So Richard Parnell has a new organization. You know what? I haven't. I'm not up to speed on that.
Mark,
unless it's the one that he has been doing for some time. But
is it the GRSA, which PCS is?
That's what he's talking about.
But Mark Mislowski, the president of the Eastern European Racket Stringers Association, mentioned something on Facebook this week, not to be confused with the new competing certification. It has nothing to do with the ERSA. and I'm wondering if that is the GRSA.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so there
Okay.
might have been a little confusion in
Okay.
Europe as this new certification, and Mark is saying, "Hey, this is independent from us. This has nothing to do with us." So I didn't know it was Parnell who did that, but
Oh,
he's
what
obvious.
is Richard? So what is Richard doing? Is he coming up with his own certification for like a next level of stringing?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look much into it, but sounds like maybe, yeah, these guys know a little bit more about that. But Parnell's a big name,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a, it's interesting.
Yeah. We'll have to look that up and get a
Maybe
little bit
next week
bigger
we
on it.
can.
Yeah. And yeah, because I tried to just Google it real quick, but obviously you have to have a little bit more specific, a little bit more specific words to find that quickly. But different
Okay.
organization, but very similar structure. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, because there's obviously a need or people asking for more certifications or more um, higher level, stringing because for the longest time it was kind of more just who you knew, and once you're in that industry and you're in that professional stringing, you can kind of move around and learn from these people. But otherwise, it was kind of hard to get access to that knowledge. But now with all these organizations, like with the ERSA, having different levels of stringing complexities and stringing um, certifications and so forth, it allows, I think, more people to maybe get into it. So that's
Yeah,
good.
it sure does.
I mean, I didn't start that way initially. I just happened to connect with the right people at the right time, and that got me in. The only reason I initially went for the USRSA certification was just because of the shop that I had at the time. It's more for helping with the retail aspect. That showing somebody that, yeah, you've got the certification.
Well,
But the
we'll have
post,
to find out what he's doing with it because
yeah,
it seems like a monumental undertaking to start a competitive certification to
oh
compete
yeah,
with ERSA. Because I mean, we saw what Mark did to run that symposium. I mean, he was like a one trick pony there. He did everything, He
yeah,
did everything when it came to that. He was all over the place, and he had uh, emailed everyone. He sent out all these string. He posts on Facebook. He certifies new stringers. It seems like quite a bit. So we'll have to see what Parnell's going to try to do with that. Um, Interesting.
yeah, and what the ultimate purpose of it is, right? Because that, um, yeah, and
Yeah.
what connections you have in the industry and stuff. I think that could definitely help because really, ultimately, you want to be able to connect somehow with some of the manufacturers and the companies themselves to make it a little bit more integrated into the industry. I think.
Right. I kind of agree with PCS there. I don't know if
Are
people are
asking for
asking for
certifications. I
certifications,
feel like
but
it's more like the organizations are trying to push certifications. Yeah. Yeah, that's, I mean, I think it's like that with any industry, right? That has certifications. Some people are like, the certifications are worthless. And then other people are like, well, they might be worthless, but sometimes they get you in the door and they at least show that you're making an effort,
yeah,
trying to do that. So it's kind of like going through a hoop
yeah.
or loop or whatever in moving whatever direction you want to move and stuff. But yeah, it becomes expensive too, right? When you start like joining this organization and that organization, paying the dues, and are you really getting the benefit of it? Um, uh, but
You're right about that.
yeah, but I think the ERSA had some good workshops this last symposium, and having it online and now having access to that, I still have to go back and watch some of those. But it was good just to see what's happening on another part of the world and stuff. And I think because Parnell would probably be doing it out of the UK, right? Isn't that where he's located? Somewhere in England or
Hmm.
um, I think so, right? But
I don't know.
yeah, so that would be you. So that way maybe you get another perspective and so forth. But
Yeah.
it's there's always somebody out there to maybe take your money on that. So
Yeah, that's right.
yeah,
USPTA,
yeah,
USPTR,
yeah.
level one,
So
level two,
yeah,
level three, gold level one.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So oh wait, Spain. RP is in Spain. Oh, okay. I didn't know he was in Spain. Parnell, Richard Parnell's in
Yeah.
Spain. Okay.
I didn't
Yeah.
either.
Okay, so let's see. That's all I have. I guess we're hitting close to 500 subscribers, so it looks like
Yeah.
next week we've got to do the giveaway. I'm not sure what day you're available, Brad. If you're available, I've got some time on Friday. I'm not sure if we're what your schedule's like
I
next
may be
week.
able to do something Friday evening at 7 or so. I think I'm
Okay,
teaching till maybe 6.
okay, okay. Yeah, let me see if I can work that in because that would be good. Because I know we've got with the holiday and Easter and all that. It Friday might be the best day. So hopefully, if we hit 500 subscribers by then, we can make it happen. Okay, I don't want to wait till 500. So,
Yeah, that's
um,
great.
yeah, that'll be fun. Give away some strings and a few other little items that I have. So we
Yeah.
can make that fun. So we'll just watch for some stuff this week on that. I'll try to put it up as soon as I know kind of when we think we can have it. So yeah, I haven't really watched much tennis this week or anything like that. Um, I guess, let's talk a little bit about maybe some stringing tips, right? Let's add
Mhm.
some stringing tips since that's what we're about. Do you have any, maybe based on what you've been stringing this week, do you have any specific tips maybe that you want
Oh,
to?
yeah. Good question. Geez, I'm trying to think. I have been stringing a little bit. I've been doing a lot more, like I said, with ALU Power. I've been a couple like head links. I've been doing some with Polytor Pro. Um, not many multi-filaments as much as I'd like. People are really mostly going polyesters now. So, but
Mm-hmm.
they're looking for soft polyesters. Some of them want the real soft ones. Head links is fairly soft, but it's got like 52 or 50% tension loss. So I'm just trying to, I can't think of anything really that we haven't mentioned. Um, that
And
I
I think
that I
something to take into consideration too when you're switching from a 16 gauge to a 17 gauge or the other way around in the same string, you could potentially have a different tension loss variance.
yes,
And sometimes we don't think about, oh yeah, let's just move this person into a um, larger gauge or a thinner gauge, and we don't think about in that other gauge it's going to maybe create a different stiffness and
completely.
or
Yeah,
create a different tension loss. So maybe thinking about adjusting the tension
yeah,
based on those other properties. I don't
yeah.
know, PCS or anybody else on there. Shardlow, what do you think about that specifically?
I would
um,
say if you're stringing a 125 at
mhm.
50 pounds and you go up to a 130, I would definitely say you should drop it down to 46, 48 pounds
Hmm.
because it's going to be that bigger diameter. It's going to be
Yeah,
stiffer. It's going to be harder on your arm and stuff. But
yeah,
I
and
don't
it looks
have,
like yeah, it looks like Wes is saying that he thinks from PCS, he's thinking that generally the thinner the gauge, the quicker the tension loss.
mm,
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to, I guess, look at all the different ones.
yeah,
But it's definitely something that you can quickly look up if either made your own spreadsheet or you go to the USRSA site or like Tennis Warehouse, and then
university.
if they've recently, I mean, if they've evaluated that specific string in 16 and 17, you can kind of maybe look for what the variance is in tension loss and stiffness and so forth.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Uh, Stringing machine. We had a couple good weeks of that, right? And then we took last week off. I'm just trying to think of a good a stringing tip related to the racket. Yeah, I oh, here's our silent moment.
Oh, right. Yeah. My computer screen froze. Can you hear me now? I'm just, everything was
Yeah,
frozen to
yeah,
me.
yeah. It looks like you're frozen, but I can definitely still hear you. So it looks
Okay.
like Shardlow said probably a good generalization on gauges, um, meaning that I don't know, maybe figuring out keeping good records. Yeah, that's the thing I think, Brad, that you've talked about. Just keeping good records with all of your stringing um,
Yeah. One
is
thing I
is
did
important.
this
So
week is I went on Wyzant, WYZANT.com, which is like the website to find tutors in various applications. And I needed some help in my Excel. And so I found a tutor. It was $35 an hour, and he helped set up my spreadsheet. So now when I put in my revenue and expense, it automatically adds everything up and subtracts it without me having to do it. So at the end of the year, I'll have all my revenue expenses already, added up, and I can just send this simple sheet onto the accountant and stuff. So he sees everything without me having to go through 400 or 500 line items and adding all the rackets, stringing, and the stringing expenses. So now it does income and expense, which was nice. I did that this week.
Mhm. So, okay, let's just talk about that. Yeah, that's a good thing actually. To sometimes you have to outsource some of that stuff because if it's going to take you so long to figure it out yourself, sometimes having
Totally.
pay a couple hours of labor, and then you can learn from that. Sometimes I have trouble with that. I figure I'll just do it all myself, but then it never gets done.
Right. That's why I did it.
Yeah, if you just finally just
And the guy
stick.
started to teach me, he's starting to teach me. And I said, look, no disrespect, you might as well be trying to teach me Swahili
Mhm.
because I'm not going to get it, so let's not waste 20 minutes and you trying to teach me this. I said, that's why I'm here. If I have to pay you again, I'll do it because, I do not get this stuff. I'm not a computer guy. I'm not,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
underscore plus equal symbol
right,
parentheses minus
yeah.
1 4 7 enter. And I'm like, look, I'm already lost.
And that's why sometimes I think like maybe just using one of the online software programs for keeping your
True.
string tension, like stringjob.com, or like a couple of the other ones that the ERSA had also mentioned.
But that's a
They all
monthly.
have,
I get worried about that's
yeah.
a monthly fee.
Yeah, it is a monthly fee. You can start pretty low, and I know with the String Job website, you can start with zero. I think if you only have 25 clients or less, or 50 clients or less, they don't charge you. And I still need to do a video on that because um, yeah. So I used to use String Job myself,
I'll
and
have to look up
for the
OWL.
basics, it's just a really easy, straightforward. It can generate emails out to the clients. It keeps records of all the stringing and everything. It just keeps it in one place, nice and easy. But sure, because it's an online platform, you stop paying and you stop having access to all that. So that is something to think about. But um, for somebody who's having a difficult time keeping track of their own stuff, it might be a place to start and then do that for a while. And then once you learn how it kind of works, then maybe you can just, do something on your own, just once
Yeah.
you know what you need to have. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, I know a lot of people use spreadsheets and that's, or even the simple Excel, just have the right columns and put some simple formulas in there and you're good to go. And then you just
Yeah.
have to do your own email system or whatever. If you have a little bit more technology skills, you can integrate it all into a platform that does it all for you. But
Yes.
it just depends on how much effort and how much time you really spend on that. So yeah, so I don't know. Let's just we can end it on one tip. Tip, or I guess maybe discussion about what you think of mounting the rack at the same time on the machine each time, and always keeping the short side on the same side. Do you do it that way, or do you just randomly do your short side depending on what side of the racket you started on?
Well, if you're saying if we're doing one piece
Yeah, if
stringing,
we're doing one piece string.
I usually keep it, if I'm facing the racket, I usually just always keep it on the right hand side. So if I'm on top of the racket, on the right hand side is my short piece. Um, Unless there's specific instructions on the racket where you have to start and it doesn't, you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
doesn't happen on that side, but that's pretty rare. But yeah, I am consistent where I start it. I am consistent on the strings over under. Whether I go over or under, I try to keep everything consistent. If I do 7 of the same rackets, I kind of want everything to look the same.
Yep, and I think that's important, is that consistency, just like you're saying, because if you like always keep the butt cap up when you're looking at mounting it on the frame, and then you always just say, all right, my short side's always going to be on the right hand side or the left hand side, and just stick to that, because if you're stringing 2 or 3 rackets from the same person, to have that consistency, and so you're starting at the same place, ending at the same place, pulling the same amount of strings on each side, tying off at the same places, using the same amount of tension for your tie off knot, pull, the same pull procedures, and weaving and all that, just keeps you from possibly making those small mistakes, or being off by a few pounds. So
Yeah.
that's what they're going to expect at higher levels of stringing as well. So it looks like we're still getting questions on the Sergetti method. A few people were wondering about Sergetti. Like, I guess we can just go into that before we end for today.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody uses Owl software, which is,
Yeah,
sorry,
Wes.
yeah, everything's moving here. Oh, is that Wes that was saying that?
Was it or no?
Wait. No, wait. Shadlow,
Oh,
Shardlow Tennis. I use Owl software. It can enter stringing, lessons, sales, etc. At the end of that, I submit a profit loss to my accountant. Oh, good idea. Yeah, I should look at what Owl software. I haven't heard of that one.
yeah, I'll look that up
Right,
too.
and then we got Saviv. Oh yeah, welcome back, Saviv. He joined us before. What are you thinking about Sergetti stringing method? My friend who strings my rackets told me about this method. Yeah, well, it's definitely a proprietary system that they created, and you go through the website, and it's based off of the specific racket pattern that you have. So I think if it's not really something that you're gonna be able to use and for your clients, unless you're willing to. I think you get it. I mean, I think it's $20 per one type of racket, and so if you are stringing for clients, you're going to have to figure out how you can offset that cost. I know that they give you a discount with the. If that's the case, if you're going to do it for other clients, they'll give you a discount, I believe. But still, how are you going to offset that? There are other proportional stringing systems as well, and some are free, and some you can get through membership, like the USRSA and so forth. So you might want to try one of those to kind of get familiar with it, and where you're not paying anything. But I know Sergetti has a specific way that they do it as well. And you have to have, really, if you have a constant pull machine or a consistent machine, you're going to need that. And it's going to require a little bit more time and effort. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody who's tried it kind of said it is a different feel. It's good to maybe try it once. I think, Brad, you told me that you've tried it before,
Yeah,
right?
I ordered
Yeah,
that for my racket.
you ordered it and all that, and tried it. But if you're going to start doing it for clients and maybe using that as a method to set yourself apart from your competition, I think it's going to take a lot of educating your clients and customers on that. But it's
It's a lot of wear
definitely
and
up.
tear on the machine. It's a lot of
Yeah.
pressing buttons or turning the
Mhm.
dial. It's a
Yeah.
bit more of a headache. I would probably charge more per racket if someone wanted to use it. If it
Yeah,
was
for
a
sure.
penny stock, I would probably buy it, because if one top player goes with it, it could absolutely take off. If you get one top 10, top 20 player who uses that method, wins a tournament, mentions it in the press release, gets out there, it could really take off. So it's possible. There are some testimonials from decent players on the Sergetti website. I think it's out of Canada. I'm not positive, but they do have several good Canadian players who have given testimonials. Um, so, I mean, I always think that generally the top players are hitting generally the same spot all the time on their racket. They're not going to benefit maybe from a bigger sweet spot, but who knows? You
Hmm.
know, if it does give you a bigger sweet spot, that is a plus for people that don't always hit it in the same spot.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll just leave it on that tip. The show was a little shorter today, but I just, wanted to cover a few of those things and go over the ERSA.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make it a goal to come out with a few videos this week, or at least one in between our next one. So some more stringing tutorials and so forth, and then next week we'll hopefully get to do our giveaway, and we'll see how that works.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's gonna how that's it has to be, of course, fair for anybody. There's quite a lot of YouTube rules around having a competition or having a giveaway, so I'm gonna have to read up on that and put all that information up as well. So I'll be spending some time this week figuring that out. So first time's always the kind
Yeah.
of the learning curve. So we'll go
Yeah.
with that. So Brad, have a good week, and thanks everyone for joining us today and for your
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
questions and comments. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Pat.
All right, thanks.
Take care.